There was a point when the silence in my house felt louder than any cry. The days blurred together, diapers, dishes, deadlines, and that endless buzzing in my chest that felt like panic but quieter. More tired. I was doing everything. And somehow I still felt like I was failing. There were no grandparents coming over to help. No sisters to call. Friends. Most had disappeared after the baby came. I didn't blame them. I had disappeared too, into this version of me that barely recognized herself. Hair in a bun for the third day. Coffee reheated 5 times. A body that ached in places I didn't know could ache. A heart that felt hollow even while full of love for my child. I didn't say I was struggling. Who would I tell? I smiled at checkouts. Answered, "I'm fine," automatically. But inside, I was unraveling. I remember one night, sitting on the bathroom floor, door locked, baby finally asleep. I wasn't crying loudly, just leaking pain. Quietly, like everything else in my life. I kept it silent so no one would worry. So no one would think I couldn't handle it. That was the night I picked up my phone, not to scroll, but to search. I didn't even know what I was looking for. I just typed, "Why do I feel like I'm falling apart?" And somehow, that question led me to someone else's story. A mom, a stranger, writing about feeling like she was drowning too. Her words didn't fix anything right away, but they made me feel less invisible, less crazy, less alone. It was the first thread in something I didn't know I was weaving. A net, soft, silent, but strong enough to hold me when everything else felt like it was slipping. No one really talks about what it's like to mother in silence. Not the peaceful kind. The kind that feels like absence, like no one sees you. Like you're screaming inside, but it doesn't echo anywhere. I didn't have anyone checking in. No one asking how I was really doing. And I wouldn't have known how to answer, even if they had. Because how do you say, "I love my baby, but I feel like I'm disappearing"? How do you admit you're afraid of losing yourself completely? Some mornings I would open my eyes and immediately feel defeated. Not because I didn't love being a mom, but because I was doing it without any help, without a break, without even the reassurance that I wasn't messing everything up. The guilt was a constant hum. I felt guilty for being tired. Guilty for snapping when I didn't want to. Guilty for longing for just one quiet hour alone. Guilty for needing more than what I had. Social media didn't help. I'd see picture-perfect families, date nights, supportive partners, and cheerful moms doing crafts. Meanwhile, I was reheating leftovers for the 3rd time, wondering if anyone else felt like I did. Overwhelmed, lonely, ashamed of how hard it all felt. There were days I didn't recognize myself. I wasn't the woman I was before, but I didn't know who I had become either. I was surviving, not living, and no one really noticed. Not even me some days. I needed someone to say, "I see you." Not in a performative way. Not with flowers or likes or a passing comment. I needed to feel understood. To feel like I wasn't the only one treading water in what was supposed to be the happiest season of my life. But everyone around me was either too busy, too distant, or too unsure of how to help. So I kept folding laundry with tears on my face. Kept holding my baby while my heart felt heavy. Kept whispering, "You're okay," to my child. And silently begging someone to say it back to me. It was an ache I didn't know how to name at the time. I just knew I couldn't carry it much longer, not alone. I wasn't expecting to find anything that night. I wasn't looking for connection. I just wanted the ache to quiet down, even for a moment. I opened my phone and started scrolling, half numb, half desperate. Somehow, I ended up on a thread in a parenting group. One post stopped me cold. She wrote, "I love my baby, but sometimes I want to run away. Not because I don't love being a mom, because I'm so tired of being everything alone." I stared at that sentence like it had come out of my own mouth. I read it again, and again, then scrolled through the comments. It wasn't just one woman, it was hundreds, saying, "Me too. I thought I was the only one. Thank you for putting this into words." Something cracked open in me. Not a breakdown, something softer. Like a thaw. I clicked through her profile and saw more of her posts. Honest, messy, real. Not curated, not filtered. She talked about crying in the laundry room, eating dinner standing up, feeling invisible in a crowded room. And suddenly, I wasn't just scrolling. I was breathing. I hit follow. Then I left a comment. Just one line. "Thank you. I needed this." She replied within minutes. "You're not alone, Mama. We're in this together." I cried. Not because I was fixed. Not because things magically got better. But because, for the first time in what felt like forever, someone had looked into the dark and didn't flinch. She stayed. She replied. She understood. I started finding more voices like hers, moms who didn't sugarcoat, who didn't judge. Posts that made me laugh through the exhaustion. Stories that named the guilt, the rage, the grief, and the beauty too. Little windows into other lives that mirrored mine, and slowly, they began to feel like open doors. That night, I didn't go to bed feeling healed, but I felt held, even if just a little. And that was everything. What started as one comment turned into a lifeline. I began following more moms who spoke openly about the hard days. I joined a small group where the rule was simple. Honesty first, judgment never. And slowly, something shifted in me. I wasn't just consuming content, I was being seen. At 2 a.m., when my baby wouldn't sleep, I'd post a message in the group. Within minutes, someone would answer. "I'm up too. You've got this." That was all it took sometimes. Just one voice saying, "Me too," across the glow of a screen. We shared photos of sinkfuls of dishes, screenshots of meltdown texts we never sent, and those raw, unfiltered moments where we felt like falling apart. But instead of silence, we got support. No perfect advice, no magic fixes, just real women offering real care. I started to feel less ashamed, less like I was failing, more like I was part of something quiet, invisible, but strong. These weren't women I'd ever met in person, but they knew more about my heart than most people in my life. They remembered the little things. The night I was scared about a fever, the first solo trip to the grocery store, the tiny wins that no one else would clap for, but they did. They sent voice notes with cracked voices and tired laughs. They tagged me in posts that said what I hadn't yet found the words for. They reminded me that love doesn't have to be physical to be real, and that family doesn't always share your blood, it can share your battles. Some days I would still spiral, but I wasn't spiraling alone. This invisible net I had found, woven from strangers' words, middle-of-the-night messages, and memes that somehow understood my soul, it was holding me. And it kept holding me, not because they had to, but because they chose to. And in a world that often makes mothers feel like we have to do it all, that kind of support felt like oxygen. At first, I didn't know how to receive support without apologizing for it. Every time someone said, "You're doing great," I wanted to respond, "Are you sure? Because I feel like a mess." I was used to being the strong one, the one who figured it out, the one who pushed through. But strength without softness becomes armor. And armor can get heavy, especially when you're carrying it alone. These women, this invisible tribe I'd found online, helped me put the armor down. Not all at once, just piece by piece. I started sharing more. Not just the struggles, but the tiny victories too. I showered today. I asked for help without guilt. I didn't cry during nap time for once. And they celebrated with me like I'd won the lottery. That's the thing about moms who've been through it. They know the weight behind the little things. Eventually, something shifted again. I stopped showing up just to be held. I started showing up to hold others, too. I began replying to newer moms who felt lost, just like I had. Leaving voice notes for strangers who needed a kind word. Checking in on women I'd never met, but somehow felt deeply connected to. It didn't drain me, it restored me. Because it reminded me how far I'd come. It showed me that even in my own messy healing, I had something to give. That's the power of being seen and believed when you're at your lowest. It teaches you how to believe in others, too. And isn't that what community really is? Not a perfect circle, but a messy, beautiful chain. Hands holding hands, voices lifting voices, tired hearts reminding each other they're not alone. I may never meet these women in real life, but their impact is carved into the way I mother, the way I speak to myself, the way I no longer shrink when someone says, "You're doing great," because now I believe them. And more importantly, I say it back. I used to think needing help meant I was weak, that asking for support made me less of a mother, that doing it all on my own was a badge of honor I had to earn. But now I know better. Motherhood isn't meant to be a solo mission. It's meant to be held in community, whether that's through physical presence or quiet words on a screen at midnight. I look back on the woman I was when this all began. Exhausted, ashamed, holding it all together with shaky hands. And I want to wrap her in the warmth of what I know now. That invisible doesn't mean imaginary. That real love can come through DMs and comments. That healing can begin with a post from someone brave enough to tell the truth. I didn't find a village in my neighborhood. I built one online. One voice, one message, one late-night moment at a time. These women reminded me that I am enough. Even on the days I feel like too much. Even when I fall short. Even when the only thing I accomplished was keeping my child safe and fed. And now I carry their voices with me. In the way I speak to myself. In the grace I offer to other moms. In the softness, I finally allow myself to feel. I am still learning, still growing, still mothering, but I'm no longer doing it alone. And that changes everything.